Over 1,000 years ago, the area around today's Xiajiu Road in Liwan district was still a wide bank of the Pearl River. Bodhidharma, a monk from southern India, made this place his home, living in simplicity and passing on the Zen teachings. Bodhidharma's arrival in China marked a milestone in cultural exchange. For over 1,000 years, it has profoundly shaped Chinese Buddhism and culture. The nearby Shui Wharf later became known as the West's first footsteps. Civilizations are enriched by exchange and thrive through mutual learning. Backed by the Pearl River and facing the sea, this region shaped a culture that was both unique and outward-looking. Buyue traditions, Central Plains culture, and influences from abroad met and blended, absorbing one another. From this fusion emerged the open, diverse, and vibrant Lingnan culture, a living example of the inclusiveness at the heart of Chinese civilization. This is where Bodhidharma came ashore. At Xiajiu Road. The street preserves the name the West's first footsteps. East or West, mind and truth are the same. The Zen tradition founded by Bodhidharma grew from the fusion and renewal of Chinese and foreign thought through cultural exchange. After Bodhidharma reached Guangzhou, Zen Buddhism began to spread. His first stop, Huineng Temple, was locally called the Western Arrival Hermitage. Inside the temple is a well known as the Bodhidharma well.
Guangzhou is often affected by tides, so the water was quite salty and harmful to health. One day, Bodhidharma came here and told the people to dig for gold underground. Monks and lay followers dug for a long time. They found no gold, but a spring of fresh water burst forth. People said the monk had deceived them. Bodhidharma replied, "This is gold, a treasure beyond exchange."
After a year in Guangzhou, in 526, Bodhidharma traveled to Jiankhan, today's Nanjing. After meeting Emperor Wu of Liang, he realized the emperor pursued merit over truth and left without a farewell. The surging Yangtze River did not stop his journey north. Breaking off a reed, he crossed the river upon it and drifted away. Though the tale belongs to legend, his later practice of wall-facing meditation at Shaolin Temple on Mount Song is well documented. 150 years later, a young man was tonsured beneath a Bodhi tree at Fashing Temple, today's Guangzhou Temple. He would later be honored as Huineng, the sixth patriarch of Zen Buddhism. Huineng was born in Xinxing County in the Xijiang River Basin. He earned a living selling firewood. After hearing the Diamond Sutra, he awakened. His verse that Bodhi has no tree earned him the fifth patriarch's robe and bowl. On the 8th day of the 4th lunar month in 676, the birthday of Shakyamuni Buddha, Abbot Yinzong taught at the temple, then known as Qianming Fashing Temple. A spring breeze passed through, and prayer flags fluttered. Yinzong invited the monks to explain what they saw. Some said the flags were moving. Others said it was the wind. Huineng spoke instead, saying it was neither wind nor flags, but the movement of the mind.
What the sixth patriarch accomplished was bringing Buddhist wisdom into everyday life. What once required literacy and scholarship became a wisdom accessible to all, even the illiterate, and ordinary laborers could practice it day to day.
The next year, Huineng returned to Baolin Temple in Shaxi, Shaozhou, teaching sudden enlightenment and direct realization of Buddhahood. His Southern Zen school later formed 5 houses and 7 traditions. Platform Sutra of the Sixth Patriarch, compiled by Fa Hai, is China's only Buddhist text honored as a sutra. As a distinct branch of Buddhism, Zen revealed the power of localization. It became part of Chinese culture, and spread to Southeast Asia, Europe, and the Americas, giving rise to a global interest in Zen thought. Every Friday at noon, deep along Guangzhou Road in Guangzhou's old Yueshio district, Huaisheng Mosque comes alive. Local residents know it is time for the Muslim congregational prayer. Huaisheng Mosque's call to prayer has echoed for more than 1,300 years. Though modest in appearance, it holds special meaning for Muslims in China. Together with Qingjing Mosque in Quanzhou, Phoenix Mosque in Hangzhou, and Xianhe Mosque in Yangzhou, it ranks among China's 4 earliest and most historic mosques after Islam's arrival. Huaisheng Mosque is also known as Guangta Mosque. Its light tower, built in the early Tang dynasty, once offered a view across the city. It was one of ancient Guangzhou's landmarks.
The light tower is part of Huaisheng Mosque and stands close to the Pearl River. As ships entered or left the river, traveling between the inland waterways and the sea, they could always see the tower. It served as a crucial navigational landmark for maritime Guangzhou.
Religion is a vital part of humanity's cultural heritage and a key medium for exchange between civilizations. If Zen Buddhism reached China through the devotion of seekers of the Dharma, the arrival of Islam was closely tied to commerce. In the early Tang dynasty, with Guangzhou's maritime routes open, Arab and Persian Muslim merchants arrived in large numbers, creating the conditions for Islam to take root in China. Huaisheng Mosque was founded by Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, a close companion of Prophet Muhammad, and a founding figure of Islam in China. He traveled to China along the Maritime Silk Road, preached in places such as Yangzhou and Quanzhou, and spent his final years in Guangzhou. He was buried at the ancient tomb of Islamic forebears. Scripture recited in Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas' tomb is said to echo endlessly. As a vital corridor for exchange between Eastern and Western civilizations, the Maritime Silk Road enriched both worlds through religion, shared technologies, cultural and artistic exchange, and the movement of goods. It expanded the horizons of global civilization, and left a lasting imprint on human history. Huineng Mosque, the Light Tower, and the Tomb of the Islamic Forebears bear deep Islamic roots from afar, enduring on Chinese soil for over 1,000 years, and reflecting the openness of this eastern city. The Maritime Silk Road was a trade route and a corridor of civilizations. Just east of Guangzhou Road lies the well-known Huineng Lane. Its original name, Pui People Lane, came from Arab residents surnamed Pu. In Tang and Song times, this area was known as the Foreign Quarter, a designated residential district for foreign merchants.
In the Tang and Song periods, the Foreign Quarter was a special community where foreigners lived in Guangzhou. This was the height of the Maritime Silk Road, and many foreigners settled here. Following the city's ward system, the Tang authorities created a dedicated foreign quarter for foreign residents. Over time, these communities gradually integrated into local society, and Guangzhou developed a model system for managing foreign residents.
During the Kaiyuan era of the Tang dynasty, 120,000 foreign merchants resided in Guangzhou, primarily Arabs and Persians. You can imagine. The Foreign Quarter must have been vividly cosmopolitan. South Asians in turbans, West Asians with deep-set features, and North Africans with dark skin lived side by side, forming a diverse and harmonious community. In the Golden Peaches of Samarkand, American historian Edward H. Schaeffer wrote that when the midday drum sounded, foreigners of every complexion in Guangzhou, together with Han Chinese from across the empire, gathered at the main market. Some planned transactions in shops. Others bargained aboard merchant ships, engaged in intense trade. When the sunset drum sounded, they dispersed and returned to their respective neighborhoods.
Foreign residents and locals started interacting long ago. Schools were also established in the Foreign Quarter. These schools taught not only native languages, but also Chinese learning, including Confucian texts and classics, to the children of foreign merchants.
Not knowing they were guests, many made this foreign land their home. Over time, foreign residents became part of Chinese society. The Tang dynasty created the guest tribute scholar category in its civil service examination, allowing foreign candidates to enter official service. In 848 AD, Li Yansheng, an Arab from the Abbasid Caliphate, journeyed from Guangzhou to Chang'an, passed the imperial exam, and was appointed to the Hanlin Academy, becoming the only Arab scholar official in Chinese history, and a symbol of the Tang dynasty's openness. In the northern Song Xining era, Xinyatuolua, an Omani merchant in Guangzhou, volunteered his service and was appointed foreign leader by Emperor Shenzong. He funded repairs to Guangzhou's western city wall and sent commercial invitations throughout the Arab world, attracting merchants to trade and settle. He also financed a school for the children of foreign merchants. Known as the Foreign School, it is one of the world's earliest bilingual schools. Before returning home, the emperor granted him the title general who returns with virtue. The renowned scholar Su Shi was commissioned to write an imperial edict, praising his contributions. As part of the maritime trade system of the Tang and Song dynasties, the foreign quarter was a unique model of governance in international trade cities. From urban planning and community organization to migration management and cultural transmission, it offered valuable experience for social governance over the following millennium. In 2024, to mark the 700th anniversary of Marco Polo's death, the opera Marco Polo was revived at the Guangzhou Opera House.
Marco Polo's story is widely known and unfolds largely in China. The challenge was integrating Chinese elements. We did this by weaving classic music into the symphonic framework, making the creative process a vivid exercise in cultural fusion. The Italian president came to Guangzhou specifically to see this opera. The attention it received reflects Marco Polo's role, 700 years ago, as a messenger of exchange between Eastern and Western civilizations.
Marco Polo was born into a Venetian merchant family. He traveled through China with his father, and after returning home, his accounts were compiled as the Travels of Marco Polo, opening Europe's eyes to Eastern civilizations. In 1582, inspired by the travels of Marco Polo, the Italian missionary Matteo Ricci came to China. He arrived at Xiangshan Bay in Guangzhou, today's Macau, marking the first introduction of Catholicism and Western learning. He adapted to local customs, learned Chinese, adopted Confucian dress, and called himself a Western scholar. After a period in Guangzhou, he traveled on to Zhaoqing. Zhaoqing, an ancient city on the West River, is a major tributary of the Pearl River. Here, Matteo Ricci built China's first Catholic church, Xianhua Church. It was also here that he drew the world's first Chinese-language world map of the world and its mountains and oceans. Aware that the emperor viewed China as the center of the world, Matteo Ricci placed the Ming Empire at the center of the map. China's first mechanical striking clock was also made by Matteo Ricci. In 1589, he left Zhaoqing to continue his travels. He visited the playwright Tang Xianzu, who was exiled in Xuan. Matteo Ricci introduced him to many previously unknown ideas, which had a lasting influence on Tang's dramatic works. In 1601, Matteo Ricci arrived in Beijing, the Ming dynasty capital. Together with the scholar Xu Guangqi, he translated Euclid's Elements, geometry, point, line, plane, quadrilateral, polygon, parallel lines, diagonal, right angle, obtuse angle. The Chinese geometric terms they coined are still in use today.
Jesuit missionaries were required to report regularly to the Pope or the Society of Jesus. In these reports, Matteo Ricci introduced Europe to China's geography, resources, technology, culture, and thought. In doing so, he transmitted Chinese culture to the West, which stands as one of his most significant contributions.
Language and writing are fundamental vehicles of civilization. For anyone learning a foreign language, a dictionary is an essential tool. Learners of English commonly rely on English-Chinese dictionaries and the Oxford Dictionary. But more than 2 centuries ago, in the Qin dynasty, how did Chinese learners look up English? The answer lies in Guangzhou, where China's first English dictionary was compiled. It was a dictionary of the Chinese language, by British missionary Robert Morrison. He was born into a farming family in a small town in northern England. At 22, he became a missionary. In addition to astronomy and medicine, he learned Chinese from a Chinese teacher named Rome Sunda. In 1807, because of his proficiency in Chinese, the church sent him alone to China on a mission. After months at sea, he finally arrived in Guangzhou. There, he preached, studied Chinese, worked as a translator, and began compiling the dictionary. The work was based primarily on the Kangxi Dictionary and thousands of Chinese texts. By 1814, the dictionary was complete. But publication came 9 years later. It's an expansive 6-volume dictionary. It incorporates Chinese dialects and colloquial terms. Arranged by Chinese radicals in 3 volumes, this Chinese-English dictionary pioneered a left-to-right horizontal layout for easier bilingual reference. Robert Morrison was the first one to present Christianity's original doctrines to China in full. He made lasting contributions to cultural exchange between China and the West. On the banks of the Pearl River stands the second affiliated hospital of Sun Yat-sen University. Its predecessor was China's first Western-style hospital, the Canton Hospital, founded in 1835. It was established by the American physician Peter Parker. In 1866, Canton Hospital opened its affiliated medical school, China's earliest missionary medical institution teaching Western medicine. Among the students admitted in 1886 was Sun Yat-sen, who later led the Xinhai Revolution and ended the imperial rule. In 1935, Canton Hospital was renamed Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hospital. After 1949, it became the second affiliated hospital of Sun Yat-sen University.
Many milestones in the history of Western medicine in China were achieved here. They include the first eye surgery, the first amputation, the first operations using chloroform and ether anesthesia, the first abdominal tumor surgery, the first cesarean section, the first X-ray image, the first female doctor, the first medical journal, and the first medical association. Many milestones began here.
Architecture is history made tangible, a reflection of its era. On the Pearl River, Shamian Island served as a trading hub from the Song to the Qing. In 1861, it became a British and French concession. More than 10 consulates, 9 foreign banks, and over 40 trading firms took root here. They left behind more than 150 European-style buildings in diverse designs, blending Chinese and Western elements. These buildings resemble a frozen symphony of nations, turning Shamian Island into an open-air museum of global architecture. Guangzhou, is where architect He Jintang, an academician of CAE, has lived and worked for nearly 70 years. Every brick and stone has provided him with rich creative inspiration. Shamian Island is one of the places he often visits.
European and American architects brought the architectural ideas of their time to Guangzhou. Styles such as neoclassicism and eclecticism arrived this way. Once here, these ideas were adapted to Guangzhou's environment and climate, integrating local functions, aesthetics, regional techniques, materials, and decorative traditions. These influences came together.
The European-style buildings on Shamian Island also preserve the legacy of the American architect, Charles Paget. After arriving in Guangzhou in 1902, he designed the Canton Customs Mansion, the Guangzhou Kowloon Railway, Reiji Trading House, Citibank, and the Generalissimo Sun Yat-sen's mansion. His carefully crafted designs shaped Guangzhou's modern skyline and left a lasting architectural imprint. For this reason, he is remembered as the father of Shamian architecture. A century-long fusion of Chinese and Western architecture has taken new form along the Pearl River. In the modern era, in 2021, Haixin Bridge, designed under the leadership of He Jintang, arched across the river. As Guangzhou's first pedestrian bridge over the Pearl River, it blends Lingnan spirit with modern design, becoming a landmark of past and present. Also designed by He, the Baiyatun GBA Art Center resembles a great ship moored on the Pearl River, carrying the Greater Bay Area's cultural vision as it sets sail. Over 2 millennia of sustained foreign trade have made openness and inclusiveness defining traits of Lingnan culture. How has this region absorbed outside influences, while never losing sight of its own cultural roots? The ancient academies scattered across Lingnan offer the answer. Backed by mountains and facing the sea, Lingnan has enjoyed an open landscape and outlook. For centuries, its people absorbed the essence of the Central Plains, while welcoming new influences from all directions, refining them into a distinct cultural tradition. The continuity of this heritage relied on generations of scholars who founded academies and passed knowledge onward. From this tradition emerged a rich array of schools and thinkers, giving Lingnan culture a unique place within Chinese civilization.
Academies in Guangdong first appeared during the Southern Song dynasty and flourished in the Ming and Qing periods. Some were state-run, training students for the imperial exams, while private lecture halls, in essence, also served as prep schools for the same purpose.
As Guangzhou's oldest surviving academy, Huineng Academy has a history of over 800 years. During the Qing dynasty, over 45% of newly built academies were located in the Pearl River Basin, with the Yangtze and Yellow River basins accounting for 35% and 18% respectively. As Guangdong's academies flourished, the Neo-Confucian thinker Chen Xianzhang rose to national prominence. Lingnan also produced distinguished scholars, including Zhan Ruoshui, Ruan Yuan, Chen Li, Zhang Zhedong, Kang Youwei, and Liang Qichao. Academies of this era focused on a broad curriculum, from classics and philosophy to science and Western studies. Beyond teaching, they published countless texts that still shape us today.
Today, Guangzhou preserves more than 340 historical sites that served academic functions. They sustain the city's scholarly lineage and represent the precious cultural heritage of this historic city.
The sweeping eaves of these academies cast shimmering reflections into the deep pool of civilization. As the 13 Hung's ships carried tea and silk overseas, the bamboo shadows beneath tiles became harbors of thought. Along the Pearl River, Lingnan culture matured where fresh and salt water meet, blending Chinese civilization with the ocean monsoon. While Venice's coffeehouses extended the legacy of Renaissance salons, and Boston's library system carried forward the spirit of Puritan academies. Guangzhou's ancient academies stand out for their modern transformation. This model of cultural, educational, and industrial renewal is spreading across the Pearl River Basin. Guiyang's Yangming Academy is now a training base for big data professionals. Wuzhou's Guangren Academy is now a Guangdong Guangxi cooperative think tank. Across the Belt and Road, the Wufu Academy in Penang, Malaysia, and overseas Chinese schools in Cape Town are exploring ways to blend traditional academies with modern civilization. From the late 18th to early 19th century, as Europe surged with the Industrial Revolution, China, constrained by feudal thinking, failed to keep pace with this historic shift. In 1840, the Opium War broke out. China was defeated and forced to sign a series of unequal treaties. The national crisis deepened. As the Qing dynasty's sole open port, Guangzhou's exposure to Western technology and culture sped up urban development and opened minds to the wider world. Among them was Lin Zishui. Lin Zishui resisted foreign aggression throughout his life, yet remained open to Western culture, technology, and trade. Leading Guangdong's anti-opium campaign, he confronted the West and realized his own lack of Western knowledge and China's isolation from the wider world. He began to collect and translate foreign newspapers and books to introduce Western knowledge to officials and the public. Lin Zishui had translators translate the Gazette of Macau and Timor. From July 1838 to November 1840. He also had Western press excerpts on China translated and compiled into Chinese affairs in foreign writings, for study and reference. From late 1839 to 1840, Lin Zishui oversaw the translation of the British Encyclopedia of World Geography, published in Chinese as the Gazetteer of the Four Continents. This influential work marked the start of modern Western learning in China. In August 1841, Lin Zishui met his close friend Wei Yuan in Jinjiang and presented him with the translated manuscript and all related foreign materials. Later, Wei's illustrated treatise called for learning Western strengths to counter Western powers, opening China to Western knowledge, and influencing the self-strengthening movement.
After Wei Yuan's book was published, it drew little notice in China but serious attention in Japan. Japan's opening up and the Meiji Restoration were, to a large extent, influenced by this book. In modern times, many aspects of Western culture entered China first through Macau, and later through Hong Kong, where they were gradually absorbed.
If Lin Zishui's awakening was largely intellectual, the following century saw a shift to action, from reformers to children. People set out from Guangzhou on practical paths to change the nation's fate. Born in Guangdong, Kang Youwei and Liang Qichao established schools and wrote widely in Guangzhou, spreading reformist ideas and training the movement's core. Sun Yat-sen, the great pioneer of China's democratic revolution, led more than 10 armed uprisings before the Xinhai Revolution. The most famous was the Huanhuagang uprising in Guangzhou. His policy of Soviet alignment, communist cooperation, and mass support laid the foundations for China's future development. During the new democratic revolution, Guangzhou became one of the first 6 cities to establish communist organizations. It was also a major center of early Communist Party activity. Events like the Guangzhou Uprising, the Third National Congress of the Communist Party of China, and the Guangzhou Peasant Movement Training Institute left a profound mark on the party's century of history. In 2018, leading Guangdong landscape painters jointly created a monumental Chinese scroll titled Seams of the Pearl River. The scroll is divided into 3 sections. The central section was created by Shui Qinsong and 3 young landscape painters. Rich in history and contemporary spirit, this visual epic weaves the Pearl River Basin's openness into waters flowing toward the sea. It presents a radiant vision of diverse civilizations thriving together.
At times, we take a high vantage point to look down over the land and observe how the Pearl River flows and where it is heading.
In July 2024, during the Paris Olympics exhibition, ancient drumbeats echoed along the Seine River. Paddles flashed, spray flew, and dragon boats surged through the water, bearing 5 millennia of civilization, as they unfolded a living scroll of Eastern culture.
Over the years, I've raced dragon boats all over the world. After the races, we exchange paddles with other teams. As a gesture of friendship, I've collected paddles from teams we often visit in Hong Kong and Macau, as well as from teams in Taiwan, China, Each paddle you pick up here carries its own story.
Through the haze of history, the dragon has long been a metaphor for rivers. The 9 great waterways flow across China. Yet culturally, the dragon's head is seldom found at a river's source. It rises where the waters surge into the sea. The Pearl River, ancient yet ever-renewing, carries streams to the sea. It holds the valleys and mirrors the open sky, embodying a broad vision and the wisdom of inclusion. The Pearl River links past and present, China and the wider world.
To me, Guangzhou is a great melting pot. It has an open mindset. It's calm and balanced. And it embraces outside influences. But this openness is not a simple imitation. From the era of the 13 Hangs to the present day, Guangzhou has remained itself. It reflects the kind of openness we now advocate, self-directed and grounded in our own identity.
Passing through the mists of history and the rolling tides of commerce, faces from across the world, languages from every land and ideas of every kind have met here, merged here, and transformed here. The Pearl River Delta, a monumental work shaped through shared global participation and guided by principles of openness, inclusiveness, diversity, and innovation, restores fragmented stories to a fuller view of history and reality. Amid constant change, it stands watch over the sails of civilization,